of view, but when he does something like compare abortion to slavery, that's not a new argument for pro-lifers. They talk about dehumanizing a human being and taking away who they are. So that rings true to a lot of people, Republicans and conservatives. While it may baffle people in New York, it seems very reasonable to other people.
Let's get real here. Can you define the top of the House in the Republican Party, the Republican establishment? And if so, if you can define it, what are the thoughts going through the Republican establishment right now about what is happening to their party?
John Sununu explained it better than anybody else. I don't understand my party anymore, is what Sununu
Which is
said.
the problem,
Here's why I think Carson could win South Carolina, potentially. At this point, you can't pick an establishment candidate who's going to be in the game coming out of New Hampshire. There's just no one with enough strength right now to say. If either Cruz or Trump coming out of New Hampshire looks strong, the establishment, I think, could rally to Ben Carson. As strange as that may sound now, somebody's going to have to stop. The establishment's going to want to stop Trump or Cruz. They just are. And Carson may look like the safest, best bet to stop one of those guys coming into.
Right now, the calculus is simple, and Donald Trump has this decision to make. He has one of two decisions to make. He can go all in Iowa and try to win there. Because Donald Trump knows, as we should all know around this table, if Donald Trump wins Iowa, he's going to win the Republican nomination. I will say it again. If Donald Trump wins Iowa, he's going to win the Republican nomination. If, however, he makes that bet and loses Iowa and takes his eyes off of New Hampshire and then loses Iowa, and then let's say somebody else knocks him off in New Hampshire, a Bush, a Rubio, a Cruz, then suddenly he's bleeding out. I think the calculus right now is if Trump wins Iowa, he wins the nomination. If Trump loses Iowa but ends up winning New Hampshire big, he's still on the way, because Trump is a South Carolina candidate. They love him in South Carolina. Gene, you're from South Carolina. Trump's up by 20, 25 points right now. I've said it all along. He will tear, if he has any momentum going to South Carolina, he'll blow everybody away there. He'll blow everybody away in Nevada. Then he'll blow everybody away in the Deep South. This, Gene, and to the table, is the establishment's problem. There is always an establishment candidate that has money to endure Iowa and even New Hampshire. But once you go south and then you come back to the Midwest states and you come to the Northeast where you have to just start writing checks, there's always an establishment candidate. Both sides can do that. There's not one this year. Like, there's nobody's coming to the rescue for the establishment. I mean, the establishment candidates are going to have trouble funding themselves in Iowa and New Hampshire. So if Trump wins Iowa or New Hampshire, Gene, I don't know who stops him. He hasn't spent a dime, and he has between $4 and $10 billion that he will start writing checks if he thinks he's going to be president of the United States.
I think he will. If he, as long as he doesn't think he's throwing good money after bad, he'll throw the money in. And I almost look at South Carolina as a kind of Trump firewall, because he's so far ahead there, and just to me, he strikes me as such as the kind of candidate who can do very well in South Carolina. So he's got to do well there. I think he should want to win New Hampshire and put some investment into New Hampshire, because that can really get him on his way. I don't see a path for him in Iowa right now. But then again, he hasn't spent the time there. He can be more competitive. But Carson looks, like potentially running away with that.
Donald Trump, who's our guest this morning at 7 a.m., is getting a lot of attention for the comment he made at yesterday's Today Show town hall in New Hampshire. Take a listen.
Mr. Trump, with the exception of your family, have you ever been told no?
Oh, many times. I've been told no by him. No, many times. I mean, my whole life really has been a no, and I fought through it. I have been, and I talk about it. It's not been easy for me. It has not been easy for me. And, I started off in Brooklyn. My father gave me a small loan of $1 million. I came into Manhattan, and I had to pay him back, and I had to pay him back with interest.
Let's just put this in perspective. You said it hasn't been easy for you, but my dad gave me $1 million loan. That probably is going to seem pretty easy to a lot of people.
But $1 million isn't very much compared to what I built.
See, now, there's so much to say here. Trump did not specify the year in which he received the $1 million loan, but according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, $1 million in 1968, the year Trump graduated from college, is worth more than $6.8 million in today's dollars. Did you notice, though, that he didn't apologize for it and was kind of brash about how small that was compared to...
It's a nothing burger.
Well, you think of...
Well, I mean,
doesn't hurt him.
You think of the comments that other candidates have made in the past. In fact, we have that it was just crushing for them when they made comments about being flat broke.
Hillary Clinton, right?
Exactly.
Well, I've got to say, I mean, I would have loved $1 million loan out of college. That said, even if I got $1 million out of college, I'm sorry, I would not know how to build 90-story buildings and become the top developer in Manhattan. I mean, you put it all in perspective. I think a lot of, I mean, he shouldn't have said it. It shows, Willie, how disconnected a lot of these people are from the people that they're getting votes from. But, you know, I mean, his point was, yes, he'd say I'm worth $10 billion. I'm the biggest developer, and good luck here, you know. Okay, well, give a man on the street $6 million and say become the biggest developer in Manhattan in a decade. They wouldn't be able to do it.
I mean, at first blush, to a lot of people, it'll sound ridiculous. Yeah, I only got $1 million, but I think we're in the Trump zone. I was talking to a Republican about this last night, where there's really nothing he could say at this point, is there, that would be so offensive that it would take down his campaign. I don't think this approaches that, but even if if he said something more extreme, what could he do or say at this point that would take down his campaign?
I think you guys are missing. I mean, like, there was something very politically honest when Matt Lauer said, excuse me, that's a lot of money. He goes, you know, you're right. But for me, it wasn't a lot.
Right.
And, you know, if you think of other candidates who've had this problem, it's taken weeks for them to talk to their staff and figure out how they deal with it, and then sit down in an interview and actually rephrase it and say they're sorry. You know, I mean, he was like, well, whatever, you're right. Good point.
Like Hillary on the book tour when she said
absolutely. There's a few others, too, not just Hillary.
That dragged on for a month.
It dragged on for a month. He just put it away.
I will say, too, the thing about Donald Trump is he is aspirational. He is aspirational, and I think most of the people, when they pick it up, they don't know exactly what. It's like those Fox News guys. Like, there's a reason why O'Reilly and Hannity speak to Middle America. They're not New York guys. They're not Manhattan guys. They're Long Island guys. And by the way, that means nothing to people on the other side of the Hudson, west of the Hudson. But Greg Carter is still mocking Donald Trump in this last Vanity Fair issue for being from, quote, an outer borough, a short-fingered vulgarian from an outer borough, which of course takes me back to Spy magazine, so I die laughing about. But that's that edge. Like, people don't know. I always said when I was campaigning, you walk into a room and people immediately figure out whether you get them or you don't get them. And they can't quite figure out why this guy worth $10 billion walks into a room and people get him. You know why? Because, as I said a couple weeks ago, all these years later, he may have the biggest buildings in Manhattan. He gets no respect here. The snobs still tweak him. They still poke him. He's always, you know, trying to prove himself. And people get that edge. It's, again, the Archie Bunker billionaire, I think you or somebody else termed it. But well, it's fascinating.
I mean, listen.
And that's why he can say
hasn't changed. If you track what he has said, how he looks across 25, 30 years, he really hasn't changed a whole lot. He came across the 59th Street Bridge from Queens, what, 30, 35 years ago, with a monstrous chip on his shoulder about Manhattan and the people who build in Manhattan. And he succeeded beyond anyone's wildest expectations. He has that chip on his shoulder today out in the country. His situation, though, you and Gene and you, Joe, if you can answer this, enlighten me a bit. Do you think that he is at the stage of his campaign where the Don Rickles stuff has to subside? He's got to talk about specific solutions to people's problems.
You know, you would think so, but I saw that Ben Carson ad.
I I think he's good.
And I'm sitting there going, where are we? Where am I? For me, it was an Admiral Stockdale moment. I saw that and I was like, this guy is up